منك مقصودي.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله المنعم المفضل الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. سبحانك يا ربنا لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك، نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيد الأولين والآخرين وعلى السابقين وقائد الغر المحجلين سيد ولد آدم أجمعين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله الغر الميامين وأصحابه نجوم الدين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وفقهنا إذا علمتنا. أما بعد. Speaking about the Buddha, we should start speaking about the praising of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from his holy names. His name is Muhammad, and by the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the meaning of Ahmad, that is the most praised one. And we read it in the Holy Quran, وَمُبَشِّرًا بِرَسُولٍ يَأْتِي مِنْ بَعْدِ اسْمُهُ أَحْمَدُ. Being the name of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam give us indirect hint that this has been beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of our practice of loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of our practice of praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of our practice of appreciating what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did to us is by praising the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, and this has been practiced initially in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You have many of the pious, they came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this was my surprise when I was checking, here and there, some authors nowadays, I'm sorry to tell you, they have complete, it's incomplete. And a study about that Su'adu is a fake. Okay. If Banat Su'adu is a fake, can you take all of these clues that came to you? You have to Bukhari, you have clues. The Prophet ﷺ said, describing Sayyidina Abdullah bin Rawaha, you have a colleague or you have your companion that never say any bad language. He referred to what he praised the Prophet ﷺ when he said, وفينا رسول الله, this mentioned Bukhari, وفينا رسول الله يتلو كتابه إذا انشق معروف من الفجر ساطع يبيت يجافي جنبه عن فراشه إذا استثقلت بالمشركين المضاجع أرانا الهدى بعد العمى فقلوبنا به موقنات أن ما قال واقع. Okay, and among us is the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reciting the holy book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when the dawn started, and he's going to spend the whole night without sleeping when the others or the non-believers, they are going to be sleeping, and they showed us the guidance after the blindness, and that's why our hearts, they are quite certain that whatever he speak about is going to happen. Okay, is this praise or not praise? This is not only praise, this has been confirmed by the Prophet ﷺ. To be honest with you, myself, when I have a praise, and has this confirmation from him, ﷺ, I feel totally relaxed about it. And this is not to tell you that this is the only one or the only time that the Prophet ﷺ was praised. He had been praised in many occasions, different occasions. I may differ with that person or that author. I believe that it happened in Banat Su'adu, and when you have this, the original Burda, which was done by Sayyidina Ka'b bin Zuhayr, and how the Prophet ﷺ gave him his Burda, as a sign of firstly acceptance and secondly security of being hurted by anyone. But again, it's not the only one kind. When you go back to the Sirah, you are going to find plenty of them to to the one who is interested in this subject, on searching of praising the Prophet ﷺ. One of the most significant praise according to those who are knowledgeable. I'm not that knowledgeable, even though I am Arabic speaker, I'm not like those people who has this taste, of the Arabic poem or whatever, and among them a famous scholar called Suhaili. Suhaili has interpretation of Sirat ibn Hisham, and in his interpretation he said about one poem or one unit done by Abbas ibn Bardas, one of the poets in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, even though he was honorable person and was the head of his tribe. He said, إن الإله بنى عليك محبة في خلقه ومحمدا سماك. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala built a love for you in the hearts of everyone, and he called you Muhammad. Okay. The comment of Suhaili, perhaps I have read it, many times ago, but the comment of Suhaili that this is very great and one of the unique, or perhaps one of the highest way of praising the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, and what make it much more significant that this was mentioned in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The whole qasida, including that poem or that unit, it was mentioned in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So here, what I'm trying to say, wherever you look or try to search for those poets, or sometimes, because as you may expect in these early days, you may have someone, who is not a real poet, but is going to have one or two or three qasida, okay? You are going to find the praise of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes from this person and the other person, and you name it, which really for the one who is interested in the matter of what? Of experiencing, of living the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to live with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, namely because he is the most praised, because he is excessively praised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is confirmed by this poem, mentioned by Muhammad and Samaka. After this significant love and unique love, you are going to find it, here. For me, for my understanding, it is beyond the thing that it needs a clue. Okay, you have certain matter in your life, you don't have to have a clue about it. The Holy Quran, at least in my mind, you don't have to have a clue. I may answer some of those doubtful points, raised up, by some people, but to be honest, inside myself, I have no doubt. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ, how great is he as a person? No need for proof, no need for clue. Okay, and here praising the Prophet ﷺ, since he has this name, this name, and you can argue about Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. You are not Muslim till you declare that Muhammad, the one who was excessively praised. This is not Mahmud, Muhammad, okay? That's mean excessively. When you have this verb in Arabic, fa'al, it means excessively was done. Okay. So here, I have no doubt that part of the experience of the follower of the Prophet with him should be by praising him. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, this is my feeling, this is my taste. I may be completely wrong, I feel this is not only salawat ala nabi. Salawat ala nabi occupies significant portion of praising the Prophet ﷺ. But besides the salawat ala nabi, we should have something else called praising the Prophet ﷺ. And those people really, they were quite good, in their I look at this phrase came from Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq as praising him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What did he say? He said, "As-salatu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam afdalu min عتق الرقاب في سبيل الله والسلاء or من الصدقة." نسيت والله أنا this has been done. Yani for after I think from paying charity, yani to make salawat on the Prophet ﷺ is much more preferred than having a charity, and to make salam on the Prophet ﷺ is much better than freeing slaves. And to love the Prophet ﷺ is much better than to have many necks, be taken away, in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the commentary. I look at it as praise. Some of those people who did not have this experience, they may feel that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq was excessive, in his word, and I am going to go by Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq to be excessive. Why? Because I mentioned this before, that the Prophet ﷺ in his life, he had few items he used to be at the least, maybe eating, housing, clothes, and you name it, okay, of those matters. It's few. And you have most of his characters and description, he was modest, and intermediate. And you have few of them, he was excessive at them. Example of it, his love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? His worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this has some opposites. What the opposite? You want to lead the prayer, and everyone interested in praying behind the Prophet ﷺ doesn't like to make it that long. Okay. On the other hand, he would like okay, it's going to be one of the peaceful position that he has, described as called eye in Arabic language, which means that the peaceful and the tranquil position that we have. So he used lead the prayer with very short time. Then when the night comes, he's going to go sometimes outside the room and pray the night prayer in the mosque. And by one chance or another, some of these lucky companions, they followed the Prophet, like Sayyidina Huzaifa ibn Yaman, like Sayyidina Allah Mas'ud, and many others. Okay, to that extent, the Prophet told them, whenever you see me have night prayer, don't let anyone follow me or join me. Why? Because he has the concern that he may get bored, or tired or whatever. And he would like to spend very long. So hey, what I'm trying to say, there's something excessive in the life of the Prophet. Why these people, they deny the praising of the Prophet? They said that they have some ahadith. Okay, let's look at these ahadith. I highly respect, these ahadith. I accept them, and a'udhu billah, I seek the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of making something or making some explanation which is opposite of what was made by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Firstly, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, as related in Bukhari, لا تطروني كما أطرت النصارى من عيسى ابن مريم ولكن فإنما أنا عبد فقولوا عبد الله ورسوله. What's the meaning of this? Don't excessively praise me the way the Christian, they praised Isa ibn Maryam. What was this way? To call him a God. So in my understanding, anything beyond this, you are allowed to do it. Because the Prophet said, the way the Christian, they praise Isa ibn Maryam. And that's why you read in Burda Sharifa, دعمت دعته النصارى في نبيهم واحكم بما شئت مدحا فيه واحتكم. Okay, and he formed it in a poem, that you shouldn't, whenever you excessively praise the Prophet ﷺ, reach this prohibited point to relate to him something related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But on the other hand, whenever you don't reach that point, you may praise as much as you can. This is my understanding for the first hadith. Perhaps the others, I don't know, they took it as absolute prohibition of this. Okay, but here you have it يعني in Arabic language كما أطلق, the way they practice with Sayyidina Isa, not absolute, okay. And you have another thing, one of those representatives when they came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Banu Amr, they said, Anta Sayyidun, you are our master, and you are the son of our master, and you are the best among us, and you are the son of the best among us. And they start speaking. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did he say? He said, be careful about it. He said, قولوا بقولكم ولا يستهوينكم الشيطان. First, he did not say, don't say. He said, say whatever you want to say, but don't have any interference from the shaitan. Okay? Why? I think this is my explanation. I may be wrong or right, I don't know, but I think everyone thinks himself, right in these matters, So that the Prophet ﷺ experienced in his life that he has the praises, from different persons. Some of these people, they look at him as head of his tribe or political leader, or whatever. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَا يَسْتَهْوِيَنَّكُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ. Because any praise of that regard is going to be for some benefit, some gaining in this life. Okay? Whenever anyone praise, a politician or praise a head of tribe or whatever, and this has been even practiced by some people, as narrated in Sahih Muslim, that they only became Muslim because they hope that they may get some money benefit, of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of them, you look between two mountains, there are a lot of sheep, between the two mountains, and he admired them by his look, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you look like this? He said, yes, they are yours. Just one word, they are yours, okay? And that's why some of those, they became Muslim. They felt that they have some competition with the Prophet ﷺ in the honorable position, namely to be politician or to be rich or to be a good speaker or good guide or whatever of that regard. When they faced with the characters of the Prophet ﷺ, with the attitude of the Prophet ﷺ, they are going to find out right away that he's not as such. One of them, Ali ibn Hatim. Ali ibn Hatim, when the Muslim army go to his area, he fled to Syria, escaped to Syria, and then he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In his mind, this man, compete with me. I was the leader, of the tribe of Tayyir, and he is the leader in Hijaz, and he competes with me. When he entered the house of the Prophet, with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nothing in that room at all, except one pillow. Even this one pillow, the Prophet ﷺ introduced it to him, to sit on it, and he sat on the floor, not like our floors, much better, but it was of soil, okay. This action from the Prophet ﷺ told that person that this person is not a king. Not someone to compete, about certain matter in this dunya. Completely different. You got this point? So here, some, as Ali ibn Hatim, this is my assumption. Some of these people, they try to praise the Prophet ﷺ or have a poem or whatever. They have the same thought, that they are praising what? A king, or they are praising a politician, or they are praising a military leader, or they are, okay? So that's why the Prophet ﷺ, what did he say? قُولُوا بِقَوْلِكُمْ وَلَا يَسْتَهْوِيَنَّكُمْ الشَّيْطَانُ. Say, this is the most important one. What did he say? He said, say whatever you said. He did not say, don't say. He said, say whatever you say, but don't let the shaitan have interference there. Okay? Why? Because he was described, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by Sayyidina Hind ibn Abi Hala, وَلَا يَقْبَلُ السَّنَاءَ إِلَّا بِالْمُكَافِرِ. And how do I understand it? He will not accept any praise except from a person he feel the favor of the Prophet ﷺ on himself. You have this favor? Yes, it's mentioned in the Quran. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? وَإِذْ تَقُولِ الَّذِي أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَأَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِ. Perhaps in some areas, if I'm going to say so, they are going to kill me. Okay? How come you join, seeing this? But here it's mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. So the Prophet ﷺ in his life will not accept this praise unless it comes from a person who kafir. What the meaning of kafir? That he want to return back, to retaliate or return back some of the favor given to him from the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? And this has been going on, since then, You have some poets, they are interested in praising the Prophet ﷺ. Perhaps the other, they were busy in other matters of this life. And when you look at them, you should thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they did not praise the Prophet ﷺ. Because this doesn't fit, When you have such a person, who is interested in gaining some money or getting this or that or have some, to seek some benefit, in this life, he doesn't deserve, to praise the Prophet ﷺ. And here, those real lovers of the Prophet ﷺ in this time, like Sayyidina Abu Bakr, for sure, he loves the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ loves him in love. But have you heard the Prophet ﷺ one day asking Sayyidina Abu Bakr, ask whatever you want to ask? Never. I haven't heard that at all. But you experience it, with some other company. Not because Sayyidina Abu Bakr is down or less than these people, because he is the dearest, I give you example, about it from your house, okay? When you have your child, bringing something to you, you may give him something as a spoon or whatever, But you are not able to look at it the way you look at the stranger when he brings something for you. You look at it, that stranger who brought this to you, he needs some encouraging words, some thanking words, and some materialistic present, as a response for this. You got this point? Not because you love that stranger much more than your kid. No, because you look at your child as he's in the same unit, He belongs to the same category, whereas the other one is stranger. And this is going to be my look, between the Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Rasulullah. They used to have their relation as, it's unified completely. And that's why the Prophet Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq said, وَهَلْ أَنَا وَمَالِي وَأَهْلِي إِلَّا بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he was praised by the Prophet on the pulpit, okay? Whereas the others who were asked to ask whatever they want, they were as otherwise. And this is the way we should have it in praising the Prophet. And not everyone praised him in his life. He was as such. No. I did not look at their hearts. I don't know what's going on there. But some of them, they may have other purposes. But such a noble person like the Prophet, even those who have other purposes, not going to put them down, and it's going to smile at them. And that anyone said to the Prophet, I'm going to think that is the most preferred one, in the scale of the Prophet. To the extent this latest, Muslim, who came to Islam very late, he felt himself that he is the best, and he asked the Prophet, am I better or Abu Bakr? He said, Abu Bakr. Am I better or Umar? Am I better? And he started scaling himself to these great people, and the Prophet quite truthful, he did not lie to him, he did not say, no, you are better or you are good or whatever. No, he said, Abu Bakr is better. Okay. But here, just to tell you, this person, quite smart one, quite intelligent one, is not going to ask this question if he did not feel that this kind, treatment of the Prophet means something. And I'm telling you, this is one of our major lacking nowadays. When you have anyone visiting you, or when you gather yourself with anyone, let's resurrect this tradition of the Prophet to try to treat the other one, in good way. Try to be too kind to him. Try to show your love to him and whatever of that regard. And we tend to dictate on him, do this, don't do that, and whatever of that regard. So after 600 years or so, a person was a poet, and part of his poem was directed toward the Prophet ﷺ. He has many qasaid, or poetry, toward the Prophet ﷺ, and one of them was the Buddha, okay, and this Buddha, he got stroke at that time, and he was paralyzed. And for those who got stroke, Nasallallahu al-Afiyah, they are going to be quite depressed, because of this position, because of being handicapped, and lacking of doing anything, or go to bathroom by themselves, And he started praising the Prophet ﷺ. And I don't know under what intention, And during that poem, he dreamt about the Prophet ﷺ, and in the dream, the Prophet ﷺ took his hand and made him stand up. You believe in it, you should believe in it. And this why? Because I remember an old book in my library was speaking about Madaih al-Nabawiyya. And in his text, he said it's impossible to happen. Okay. Then he has a commentary, and he's changed his mind later on. There's a commentary down. This is what I used to show. To think, but nowadays I think it may happen, out of the psychological factor of it. For me, I don't like the first one, I don't like that one. Why? Because we are materialistic. We don't put the love, in its area. Okay. And one of the first one to speak about it was the Prophet ﷺ. He said, when you have a sick person in your house and he has some desire towards something, let him do it. Okay, out of this desire. Okay, when you speak about desire, when you are obligated to love, and to the great person like the Prophet ﷺ, why and here you have the physical explanation to it. And you have the non-physical explanation to it. What do I mean by that non-physical explanation? It may be happen as an extraordinary matter. What's wrong, with it, And you have many of these occasions, or matters that they did happen, after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so being not practicing this or not experiencing this doesn't mean by any way that it never happened. Okay, and we should have some open mind, because many of these people, they may have some explanation to these extraordinaries, but we are going to find them, they became too silly, when they try to explain everything by chance, forgetting the factor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you believe in Allah, you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a will, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a predestined, and we are forgetting all of these matters, and making the rules of Newton and Einstein and others, we make them, much more accurate than the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here, as a Muslim, you shouldn't be that materialistic about these matters, you should be a little bit spiritual. How come I'm going to be spiritual? I never experienced it. If you did not experience it, doesn't mean that the other, they are liars, or the other you are going to reject. And here, when he firstly rejected the whole story, what does it mean? Either the Imam Busiri was fake, or those who narrated the story, they were fake. Okay, then he returned back. He said, no, neither of them was fake, but I'm going to give it some physical explanation. Okay, please don't practice it in your life. Okay, if you have something extra, what's the meaning of extraordinary? It means that doesn't fit with you the rules that you have been taught. Okay, related it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is for all of us, this is the first step. What is the second step? Even the ordinary matter should relate it to Allah. I'll not be able to sit here, without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For me and for the other, it may sound as something ordinary, or usual, but in the reality, never happened without the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he raised him up, and in some relation that he put a burda on him. And this tells me that you have some similarity about those great persons, who were in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. We call them companion, and they have great chance, to have certain activity and certain practices of the Prophet ﷺ. But on the other hand, you have, by one way or another, the same attitude from his side, ﷺ, done to those people who came later. And we have parts, of these stories. I think I don't want to operate this, but I have a lot of stories, I heard a lot of them, personally, directly, from the person. Some of them, they are proven by X-ray, and you name it, and I think most of the audience, they have similar stories, So just go back. I would like, when I was young, which I did not do, I would like to write a book, about the Prophet ﷺ, and I'm going to put a chapter there about the miracles of the Prophet after his death. Okay. Because I have a lot of stories of these stories, which happened, after and that's why we should have some sort of open mind, about these matters. So this is Qasidat al-Burda, and they said that he was stuck, at one bayt when he was, radiallahu ta'ala, excessively praising the Prophet ﷺ. Then he reached the point, فَمَبْلَغُ الْعِلْمِ فِيهِ أَنَّهُ بَشَرٌ, that he is one of the humankind, and he stuck there, did not know, and the Prophet ﷺ, in that same blessed dream, he told him to complete it by وَأَنَّهُ خَيْرُ خَلْقِ اللَّهِ كُلِّهِ. Okay, and that's why you have the second portion, of this unit, repeated after each page, عَلَى حَبِيبِكَ خَيْرِ الْخَلْقِ. Some may comment, this came to my mind now. They may say it's completely fake. Why it's fake? You say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا عَلَّمْنَاهُ الشِّعْرَ مَا يَنبَغِي. What's the answer of it? The answer of it, that the life is different than the barzakh. Okay, you cannot set up the rules of this life in the barzakh. Okay, this is a very important point, and this is not only for the Prophet ﷺ, for anyone. Why? Because a person like me in this life is going to be secluded, I don't see anything behind these walls, I don't hear anyone outside this hall, and you name it, okay? When I start to die, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَكَشَفْنَا عَنْكَ غِطَاءَكَ فَبَصَرُكَ الْيَوْمَ حَدِيدٌ. Okay? That's me. I'm going to start seeing something that's unseen for me. Okay? So here, I'm going to move to another stage that I cannot give it the same rules that I have in this stage. And I'm not here, I'm not in charge, to speak about the Prophet ﷺ, but in my imagination, even the Prophet ﷺ is going to be as such. That's why this rule is highly confirmed, and this is in this life. But this is not necessary to be applicable for the time of barzakh. Why? Why? We have a very good explanation of it. Because the Prophet ﷺ in this life, by the Muslims, that they don't believe in the barzakh completely, he was accused that this is a point. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defended this point, by saying this never ever happened to him, ﷺ, and is not going to take place, in all of his life. But this is by no means that after that it's not going to take place. When you look at Burda, after this, for sure it gained, subhanallah, fame in the time of the author, but it gained much more, fame after the death of the author. Nowadays, to my surprise, wherever you go, the people, they are familiar with the Burda. For me, I'm not here to speak, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but for me, this is one of the signals, that this is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you have something accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are going to find it. And the second point, about it, that subhanallah, you are going to find it different than the other poem done by that person, in general, and in praising the Prophet in particular. Okay? Yani, if his poem, in general, like this level, you are going to find the other poem of praising the Prophet of this is level, whereas it's going to find the Buddha of much higher level, And this is, you may explain it physically, because he was, in my view at least, a real lover of the Prophet ﷺ, and besides the blessing, and the support from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala support anyone, you are going to find a lot of those extraordinary, that may be called, miracles or whatever, of that kind. They said, he do it, we have special different forms of doing this in Arabic language, and you have the last letter is called qafiya. It was according to a famous poem done by Ibn al-Farid. He had a famous qasida in his love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he made it in that part. Okay, what I'm trying to say, those lovers, even though they may have different aim or different target, they will get along with each other, in same manner. One of the signal of its acceptance later on. How many scholars, not one, how many scholars they have interpretation of it, or sharh. Once a person, came to me because he practiced, the recitation of the Buddha, in some Muslim, and I was criticized, by certain people, I got many answers, at the end I figure out I'm going to quickly, pick up some of those shuruh, and I filled a page of 4x4 of them, of the famous scholars, you have Abu Shama, very famous in this Shaykh of Imam Nawawi, you have Qastalani, you have Zakaria al-Ansari, you have Imam Suyuti, you have Ramli, you have Ibn Hajar, you have Bidawi, you have Munawi, you have Abdul Ghani. You see, you are going to find a lot, massive amount. This not everyone. When I did this, it was not all of them. They go interpreted, or made sharih of the Buddha. They are in very quick, way, really. If I want to pick up, the sharh of any other qasida, it may take me weeks or months, without collecting the same number that I collected it with. I don't want to lie, but I think perhaps 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I've collected all of them, right away. Okay, by computer, by some other ways, I collected all of them. And this amazed me enough. Why? Because I did not finish. I did not put anyone, and the page did not help, to add some names, there, But really, this amazed me. And those names, they are. Some of them, they are expert, in poem. The other, they are expert in other field, But the common thing, that you have many of those famous scholars. Famous scholar in what? Famous scholar, in fiqh. Famous scholar in tafsir Quran. Famous scholar in it. Like Shaykh Zakaria al-Ansari is called Shaykh al-Islam because he is specialized in all branches, of knowledge, That's why he was called Shaykh al-Islam. And all of these people, they make sense. Besides the sharh, you have some other work, you have takhmis. When you, in Arabic language, you have each unit of 2, you make them 5. You have tasbih, which you make them 7, and you have tashtir, when you split the unit and add another half to the first one, and first half for the rest of it, what I'm trying to say, you have many ways, of handling or accepting or explaining, or working, or have some experience, with this qasida, besides the massive practice that we have of reciting this qasida. I think we'll stop here, if there's any question.
So, if the brothers got any questions, Bismillah, please, the Shaykh, inshallah. Off the on topic, if not, then off topic, inshallah.
Shaykh, if there's a Sayyid who may not qualify to be an Imam, there's somebody else there who's more qualified to be the Imam in Jamaat. Should we still allow the Sayyid to lead the Jamaat or not?
If we are sure that he's not qualified, maybe in reciting Quran or knowledgeable in Sunnah about Quran, we should have the others, in his place, because this instruction was given to us, by the Prophet. Okay, but if it's a matter of nowadays, I feel it's too difficult for me to say that this person is not qualified or the other one is not qualified. And here, personally, when we declare that we love the Prophet, we should give some preferences to these people. Okay, I look at some people that they just treat them same as the others, or perhaps less, which I don't like this idea at all. Okay, here we should give them some preference. Why? Because firstly, in the Holy Quran, they will, in some areas, not all areas, they will give them preference, and in the Holy Hadith. But when you have someone who is not good in recitation of Quran or recite the Quran or in fiqh or whatever, for sure we should have someone else, to lead the prayer. And that's why the Prophet assigned Abu Bakr Siddiq to lead the prayer. Yes?
Regarding of Sayyid, is it allowed to take zakat?
No. My view, no. And if you love these people, you should find in your money, certain portion to be given to them. And I know about a person, rahimahullah, I think he passed away in Medina. He is going, whenever we bring some money to him, this is zakah for them. Give you some for the Sayyids, okay? And here, I don't like the idea to be stingy, and give these people, some of this zakat that it's tuhra, this to purify my money and give them the dirt. But on the other hand, I shouldn't neglect them, and we should take care of their needs, And that's why those people, this is my answer. My answer, I don't look at it that it's permissible to do it, but on the other hand, don't forget these people. You have some of them, they may be quite poor, and you should find in your money some portions, of it to be given, just for the sake of your love to the Prophet. Yes.
Shaykh, my question was in regarding of, sorry, perhaps I should have given explanation about it. The Sayyid person is, as you mentioned in your last sentence, which is, he is in the situation very, very severe. Financially, is very damaged state he is. And there is a gentleman who owes this person money. So he said to him, instead of I give zakat to someone else, you owe me money already, so I'm cutting off that amount of money upon you. So
you did not mention this. You told me that I misunderstood you.
Sorry.
This is not accepted even for the non-Sayyid, okay? When you lend me money and you want to subtract it of your zakat, it's not accepted. Okay? I'm not saying, okay? When you lend me money, and you want to subtract it of zakat, it's not accepted. So this procedure, even if it's done with non-Sayyid, it's not accepted. Why? Because in all fiqh book they said you should have the intention when you pay the money. When you lend that person, in your mind that one day is going to return them back to you. You have, according to Hanafi, you may change your intention as long as the money is still there. When the money, they are gone, No one will tell you that you have the possibility of changing your intention. You got this point? Okay? Yani, I may give you some money, and not you. I may give some poor person or somebody, Then I remember that I have zakat. Okay? If this is few minutes, the high expectation that he haven't spent his money, I may change my intention. You got this point, But to have it after a long period of time, and this was a debt, and I want to subtract it of zakat, it's impossible to happen in such a way. Okay? Neither for sale nor for anyone else. Oh, yes? Alaykum salam.
Shaykh, coming back to the topic you spoke about, you mentioned the Prophet ﷺ saying about the praising him for the right reason. But one of the things that I have heard about and have experienced as well is that undoubtedly when you praise or read salawat on the Prophet ﷺ, you feel calm in yourself. But people also talk about bringing it, and of course you've experienced it as well, but sort of barakah coming to your own people, not even necessarily of Islam, looking upon you more favorably, and so on and so forth. So there's no doubt you still can get even benefits in this world, as well as, inshallah, the attachment in the akhirah.
This is mentioned by Imam al-Ghazali in general. Look, okay, whenever you have anything with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we tend to be sincere and to be faithful, But he said, in one of his areas, regardless of how we are sincere, I'm going to get some kind of benefit, okay, regardless. But I feel the difference, personally, I feel the difference between the one who initiated this to the Prophet for benefit, or the one who initiated it out of love. And that's why in some hadith, I don't know how strong, the Prophet highlighted those who make salawat on him out of love, not out of anything. They may have the best reward, they may have best thing, always, but they did not even remember this, when they made salawat on the Prophet. But I'm telling you that they are not going to get any benefit. No, I'm quite sure that, quite confident, whenever you relate yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are going to get one of the maximum and best benefit, and according to Imam Ghazali, who is quite knowledgeable in that matter, you hardly find anyone, without any of these matters, but I feel the difference between the one who initiated it on love or initiated it on getting benefit. And that's why, if you did not take from me today except to not be materialistic, okay? And one of the worst things to be materialistic about when you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love His messengers. Yes.
Is there any benefit in reciting the Buddha, not even knowing what it means?
Again, I hate this question, because of benefit, okay? The Prophet ﷺ, you should recite the Buddha regardless. Don't look at the benefit, okay? I want to praise the Prophet ﷺ, even though if I'm going to be told in the hereafter, this has been done badly, not accepted. But I praise the Prophet ﷺ. And in some occasion, myself, I love the Buddha a lot. In some gathering, we are going to have a lot of shouting, and I'm not inside myself pleased, about what happened, because this is not the time I would like to praise the Prophet. But I still love it, but why? Because you are having everyone, get involved in it. It's not a matter of pleasing myself. Okay, it's a matter of praising the Prophet. Sorry about this, nothing against you, but why we just ask for benefit? Let's have some harm.
Shaykh, which commentary would you recommend for a beginner to study the Buddha in Arabic or English?
No commentary. Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, I have massive collection of them. Perhaps one of them, but the only one I read with some people when they asked to have commentary, was Ibajuri, okay? And this is the one I have good experience with it. But I'm sorry to tell you, I have certain point, 2 or 3 points, people they tend to pronounce it one way, I would like to pronounce it the other way. And I was quite happy to find that some of those scholars, they said it has the 2 possibilities. You got my point? And I personally, to be honest with you, I don't want to speak about myself. But when I start reciting Burda, I don't care about the meaning even. Just I love to recite Burda. When I make salawat ala Nabi, some of those salawat, which mentioned by Sayyidina Ali or some of the successors, they have a lot of strong, and complicated meaning, that I don't even, some person, I make dua sometimes, on Friday or whatever, about certain salawat, someone will stop me, after that. What's the meaning of this? Oh my God, I have been reading it, for 10 years, I don't know the meaning of it. Really, I'm honest with you. Okay, so this is my attitude. This is the way I would like to be, and I would like the other to be, but you don't have to be as such. Some people, they are quite smart, and they want to know everything that they speak about. So I have some experience with the Bajuri, and I think should be, even though this comment may not be that fair, should be one of the best one, but I don't have the other experience, the other commentary to be quite sure about. Yes.
You mentioned before about detaching yourself from materialistic things.
Yes.
What practices can we implement to detach ourselves from materialistic things, especially in society like in England?
You see, my answer is going to be from my personality, okay? Every one of us, is going to have some concern about some matter certain days, which may be gone away. If you ask me this question, perhaps after few years or before few years, I maybe have different answer. Nowadays, what I'm going to answer you, I'm going to say, build your knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Build your love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Build your confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Build your reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Relate yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One thing, I want to say bother, but not bother me, but it bothers me that you have these verses in the Quran, Ya ibadi, ibadi, ya ibadi, okay? We should practice our slavery, our service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by putting ourselves there, and try to understand what's going on here. All of these matters are going to take us away of the materialism. And the crown of it is what? Taqwa. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. From the non-expected area, okay? And this is, I think, against materialism. Yes.
So, Shaykh, specifically in this country, salawat usually was done by our forefathers, so Urdu speaking. For our generation, including myself, we have difficulty understanding exactly what's being said. So my right to understand, we just carry on with that salawat, it doesn't really matter as long as our intention is pure, we even understand it.
My attitude, whenever anyone asks me about this, to say, what is the easiest on you in Arabic, Urdu or language, or English language, okay? But start at one time by as-salawat al-Ibrahimiyya and finish it by one time of salat al-Ibrahim, okay? If you are going to have 100 salawat, let's say, or 1,000 or whatever, I go by the easiest one on you, regardless in what language is it, okay? But start the first one as salawat, I assume you are familiar with it, because you use it in your prayer, and have one a day. Yes. Salam.
Your favorite chapter in the Qasida of Allah, or your favorite verses?
Well, the one related to the Prophet. When I was young, I made summary of the Buddha. I took away all those, speaking about my love, my nafs, my whatever, and I just put there, the praise of the Prophet. And also for those who make nasheed, this one I like from them. I don't know about the Urdu language, how do you do it, but in Arabic language, sometimes I suffer, because I attend someone with it, and this qasaid mentioned there, they are not speaking directly about the Prophet ﷺ. So sometimes I love anta, that's it. خلاص, don't care about anyone else.
Okay, last question, inshallah.
I went to Medina and I'm not interested if we will go or not, if you did this or not. I'm interested to hear about Habibi. That's it. Yes.
Shaykh, my question gonna be related to this brother's question when he asked us about benefit. I think the other brother was not. All the benefit, all
Okay.
is when Rasulullah said this was Ka'ab was one of the Sahaba when he asked Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, I will make my 20% of my praise for you.
Ubay ibn Ka'ab.
Ubay ibn Ka'ab. Yes. And then Rasulullah when he answered him by your permission, Shaykh, actually, I just remembered that according of benefit, because when Rasulullah said yukfa hammu, which is whatever you need, you will get. So yeah, which and then yukfa dambu. So it was kind of Rasulullah showed him way that you will get what you want in the dream, because he was asking, should I make your prayer for myself? So can we see that within the context of this question?
And if I want to broaden your question a little bit more, in the Holy Quran you are going to find a lot of reward mentioned there, and a lot of benefit in this life and in the hereafter. Okay, but according to our Sadat min Shuyukhina and the others, when you read in the books, they said 99% or more of people, they are interested in the benefit. Okay, even if I gave this lecture, most of the people, they are going to be interested in the benefit, either to have some avoidance, of the hellfire or punishment in this life, or to get some benefit, reward in this life or the heaven in the hereafter. Okay, but you have quite few, and this is controversial, and I'm not going to dictate. This is controversial. You have some people that have complete denial of it. But I look at it in the personality of the Prophet ﷺ. When he was told that all of his sins are forgiven, his worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that, not out of getting any benefit. Some may say this is a prophet. You have the companion, 10 of Ashara Mubashirin bil Jannah. When they hear the Prophet ﷺ directly saying this, as Imam Shaykh said, this is confirmed and certain. When you hear anything from the Prophet ﷺ, it's confirmed and certain. Not as our case nowadays, when you have the narration, this and the whole chain. Okay? What did they do? They stop worship. They continue worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of their love. This is my explanation. I'm going to broaden it more. You have Ahl Badr. Broaden it more. You have Ahl Hudaybiyah. Okay. So here I'm not to deny that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in many verses of the Quran, He mentioned the reward or threatened of something, words about something, And you have it in the hadith, you have it elsewhere, you have it in the mind of majority of us, perhaps including myself. I'm not going to sound a good person, even myself, but what I look for, what I have as higher stage.
Sincerity.
No, I'm going to leave everything behind,
Just last things is
They said, there's one hadith. من أخلص لله 40 صباحا تفجرت ينابيع الحكمة من قلبه على لسانه. The commentator said ومن أخلص لتتفجر لم تتفجر.
ومن
أخلص لتتفجر لكي تتفجر ينابيع لم تتفجر. أخلص إيش؟ لله not لتتفجر. Arabic speaker,
Should find the question.
Just was last
That's when you read up just last question we have that.
I mean, Shaykh, I speak about myself rather than everybody, but in the audience. But one of the things when we say we profess our love for Prophet, undoubtedly we are telling the truth. But the point is there is truth and there's the truth because there are degrees. So when you start off on that journey, maybe that love that you express or you feel or you want to feel is tainted in some way in the sense that it's not absolute. That love grows. So what I was trying to say, Shaykh, is that when you first start, maybe your motivation is worldly, but inshallah, as you traverse that path, that becomes purer, doesn't it? Inshallah.
Inshallah. You should have full confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about this point, okay? And as we were told, whenever you direct yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for any degree, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to respond this by giving you much more, and this should be the good thought about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
قل يا حبيبي دعاء.
Shaykh, what questions are related to the
Go ahead.
There was a concept of Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam I used in the At-Tahiyyatu as an evidence. I said, Assalamu alayka ya ayyuha nabi. Ayyuha, it is instead of Ya, because of there is al-ta'rif after Ya, it comes ayyuha. So I proved that it is you call him Ya Rasulullah within your prayer, why we shouldn't call it outside? And then he said to me, this is tawqifiyya, ibadat tawqifiyya. What's your answer to that?
I have long experience with these matters, and I used to memorize and have my weapons, in my pockets, about all of these matters, and to glue this glue or whatever it is. Then what I figure out, the matter of love, they come from inside, not from outside. Okay. I don't think, as a religion person, that your religion dictates on you. You go out of your nature. Be your nature, okay? In the time of the Prophet, you have some people, they come to him an hour and they go away. And the other, they cannot help it. Whenever they see him, they are going to stay with him to the rest of his life, and even lie down and have a nap, next to his door, okay? So my answer to this, to prove these matters, the love comes from inside, not from outside. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وسلم.